I'm Faye Kuosman. I'm the Horticulture Agent at the Woodford County Extension Office, and I have with me here today Megan Fields.
Hello.
And she is the farm manager, and we're out here at Eckert's. So I'm going to let Megan talk a little bit about what they do out here with their pumpkins.
Okay, very good. Thanks, Faye, for having us. We are actually, it is pumpkin season here at the farm. We have raised 8 acres of pumpkins here at the farm this year. Typically we would raise about 5 or 6, but we doubled that size almost this year. And we plant in June here at the farm to be ready for pick your own in September, and that's primarily what we do with our pumpkins here at the farm. They are primarily pick your own. We do pick some for the front of the store in case folks don't want to go out and pick. But as you see, we raise a wide variety of pumpkins and squash and cushaw here. And then this time of the year, they're starting to look a little picked over because we've had them open for about a month now, but that's what we do with them here at the farm.
That's great. Yeah, you can see there's people out picking, and yeah, at this time of the year they basically die back anyway, so you don't see a lot of foliage out here today because it's just the pumpkins that were on the vine, so they're ready to be harvested and brought in. But yeah, you guys grow a lot of varieties here.
We do.
How has the year been with the COVID?
It has been fantastic. We have just really realized how many people want to know where their food comes from this year, and so you know, every season, strawberry, blackberry, peach has been amazing all season. So we've been very blessed there. And I've been very thankful that it's been that big and that we've been able to be open for sure.
No, it's great. It's great. And everybody's having fun out here getting their pumpkins today.
That's right.
All right. Well, thanks so much for having us out here.
Thanks.
Okay, so I'm just going to talk about a few things here to do with pumpkins. So pumpkins are in the gourd family, or the cucurbits, as we call them. So that family includes your cucumbers, watermelons, cantaloupe, and squash. So they're all in the same family, which means they grow with similar growing conditions. So as you see here, they range in size anywhere from these small little 1-pound pumpkins that are for ornamental purposes to your typical jack-o'-lantern size pumpkin to some of the giant pumpkins. And giant pumpkins are fun. My husband actually loves growing giant pumpkins, so we have some at home. The biggest one we've grown is 500 pounds, which is exciting. But they need to be planted in around mid-June, which I think Megan mentioned, so that you have them for Halloween. Now, you can plant them as soon as the last frost, which was normally around Derby weekend. I know that was different this year because of COVID, but the first weekend in May is safe and past frost, but normally people wait until mid-June to plant pumpkins so you have them for Halloween, because otherwise they might rot before then, because as you can see here, the vines have pretty much died back. So by this time of year, you know, they're pretty much done. So the world record for the largest pumpkin was 2,009 pounds, and that was grown in Rhode Island. And this year in 2020 at the state fair, they weighed in a pumpkin at 1,329 pounds, and that was grown in Somerset, Kentucky. And they had ordered their seeds actually out of England, and the seeds were $50 a piece. So if you can imagine buying a seed for $50, that's what a lot of the pumpkin growers that are growing the giant pumpkins do for fun. Morton, Illinois, believe it or not, is the pumpkin capital of the world, and they grow about 80% of the pumpkins that are used for processing. And most pumpkins that are grown in the United States are for processing. And of course, you know, places like this that grow them for more for ornamental purposes, for decorating and for your jack-o'-lantern, or for making pies for your pie pumpkin. But Morton, Illinois is also home of Libby's pumpkin that most of you know about. So you do need a large space to grow pumpkins. So obviously, as she mentioned, they have 8 acres here. But even for just growing at home, it is a vining plant, so you do want to have some space for it. It can take a little bit of shade. Native Americans used to do the 3 sisters, and that's where they grew the corn, beans, and squash or pumpkins. And the corn would grow and the beans would vine up the corn, and then the pumpkins or squash would be the understory to keep the weeds down and grow under. So that's something you could also try at home. So as far as how they're pollinated and how they grow, They vine out and then they start blooming, and there's a male and a female flower on each plant, which means they pollinate they can pollinate in that way. And so the male flowers come out a couple weeks before the female flower, which is really neat because that's how the plant is attracting in pollinators. So they bloom, the pollinators come in, and then the female flower comes out, and the pollinators take the pollen from the male plant to the female plant, and that's how you get your pumpkin. So there's all kinds of different varieties of pumpkins, as you see here, and as we've talked about, large and small and different colors. And how that works is the pollen crosses from one type of pumpkin to another. So that's when pollen is taken from a male plant of one type of pumpkin to a female plant of an entire different type of pumpkin. And that's how you get all these really neat different varieties and colors of pumpkins. As far as care through the season, we have this really great home vegetable gardening in Kentucky guidebook that any of your local county extension offices, there's a county extension office in every county in the state. So you can pick up one of these great guidebooks, and it includes all vegetables, but specifically on pumpkins, it'll tell you good times to water, good times to fertilize, and some of that information you need. And of course, contacting your local county extension agent to ask any questions. We have great guides on different problems of pumpkins with really great pictures. So definitely use those resources. As far as harvesting pumpkins, a great way to know when they're ready to harvest is obviously they're a nice color like you want them to be, like a dark orange or this yellow. And you want to leave about a 1-inch stalk on there, because if you take the stalk off, the pumpkin will rot a lot faster. You can take your fingernail and you can scratch on the rind, and if it scratches really easy, that means that it's not quite ripe. But if it's a really good hard rind and you can't scratch it with your fingernail, then that means that it's ready to harvest. You can extend the life of your pumpkin that you have already carved by using a bleach solution of 1 tablespoon of bleach to a quart of water. And you can just spray that on it, or you can take a paintbrush and paintbrush it on. Or another alternative, if you're going to be feeding the pumpkins to some wildlife, is you can use peppermint soap with the same measurement of 1 tablespoon of peppermint soap to a quart of water, and do the same thing of just spraying it around, especially on the inside of the pumpkin. And that'll extend the life of your carved pumpkin by a couple weeks. So if anybody has any questions, you can just type them into the chat box and we'll answer those for you. But if not, thank you for joining us today here in the pumpkin patch at Eckert's. And we're excited to have you join us tomorrow at the same time at noon for Elizabeth Coots, our Family Consumer Sciences Agent's cooking demonstration on using pumpkins.